Hello and welcome to the 13th unlucky, cursed edition of finally replying to old comments based on that silly superstition from centuries, millennia ago. Superstitions were really the earliest misinformation, weren't they? We, of course, have misinformation all around us now. All of social media, maybe 90% of it is misinformation, which is really damaging to the species because you have people now who believe in things that were disproven thousands of years ago because of misinformation now. So I think the best way that we can fight against that misinformation is to add to it by continuing this series of videos from an unqualified person replying to comments from people who may not even be real. And by heaping so much stinky misinformation on top of the pile, it will make the younger generations coming up want to break out of that stinky pile and rebel against it, and then they will be better off in the future and leave us to wallow in the morass of stinky misinformation. So let's wallow a bit longer, shall we? No. Here's a good comment. So we're continuing with the tradition of replying to the comment from the last installment, which was part 12. And then we'll get on to the old comments. So there were two comments from part 12 from Megatinny, 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 Megatinny. Sorry. Megatinny said, I believe Bella already had the age and awareness/empathy to sense very well what the dynamic had become in that family and between her parents. As a mother, before I get on to that, I would think, there's nothing special about me, and I remember being aware of such things at that age, which is why it bothered me that Krista would just keep saying, they didn't know what was going on. Yeah, they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what I was doing. And then to actually see so many people observing the case say, why didn't Bella and Celeste do this or that or the other thing? Were they just too young? So that's why I felt compelled to kind of tell their story more as I was covering it. Because I remember being that age and being aware of certain things in the household that didn't seem right. And there's nothing special about me. Therefore, even if there's nothing special about Bella or Celeste, they could also be aware of such things. And we know based on what we're going to get to here. So continuing on with Megatinny's comment, as a mother, you do your best to hide any hardship from your children, but some are so tuned in and will notice when mom has sorrow. My mother always tells a story about when she got my two brothers from kindergarten school each day on foot the next town over. She already had done the groceries by then, which she carried on top of their two bags, while the oldest was walking on, unaware, being a child. The youngest walked next to her and prodded his bag from her hand to help. Poor Bella knew and fought in the end, betrayed by her own father. R.I.P. Yep, that's right. I think you don't really give any information about your two brothers there, about whether or not one was better than the other. Like you're saying the older one would walk on because he's being a kid, but yet the younger one had a better understanding. I think, not to imply this about your brothers, but I think in the case of Bella and Celeste and their father, I think I literally, as I said in the series where I covered the case, I literally think that Bella and Celeste were better developed to have a better understanding of what it means to be alive, to be a valuable human being than Chris did, than their father did as a 33-year-old man, and they were only 3 and 4. Because I have that suspicion because of that scoop shovel face that his guardians just laid him face down to shut him the fuck up in the crib. And at that crucial time where his brain was growing, he was getting oxygen deprivation. So it stunted the part of his brain that understands why I'm here. What am I supposed to be doing? And he was just attracted to short-term impulse satisfaction rather than long-term value. And Bella and Celeste, at the ages of 3 and 4, were taken care of, I think, legitimately by Shanann, if not only for her social media presence. I don't think they would have been so careless. They would have wanted Bella and Celeste to grow up healthy. And we know Chris, even though he didn't have any genuine feelings for them because of the crime he committed against them, he was at least playing the role of the father who would care, so he would do all the right things to make sure they grew up happy and healthy. Until he did the thing that he finally wanted to do to them. But that part of their brain would have been allowed to grow, which is why they would legitimately have a deeper understanding, because the empathy and, well, I guess just empathy for now. That's the best way to put it. The empathy for others, like they were saying, like the evidence is in the story that Chris told, is that they were following him around the house as he was disposing of their mother, saying, "What are you doing to mommy?" Even in the watered down version that he told to make himself look less like a monster, you can still hear the implication of how bad it was and how they were aware of what he was doing and that it was wrong. What are you doing to mommy? What's going on here? What's wrong with mommy? Why, what the fuck is wrong with you, daddy? What are you doing? And Chris's opinion on what he was doing, of course, was willing to risk everything he had worked for in his entire life up to that point in order to achieve what he was doing. And his 3 and 4-year-old daughters, who had a better understanding of human value, were saying, "What is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? You shouldn't be doing this. Why aren't you being a caring, loving father and husband? You shouldn't be doing this." They understood better. So I wasn't just joking when I talked about that. It was literal. They understood humanity better than their 33-year-old father. And that's why I know they understood, because even in Chris's watered down version, it comes through that they understood better than he did. Even though he was trying to make himself look better in that version, it still comes through. So, but anyway, back to Megatini's story there of her mother walking with the 2 brothers from the other town over with groceries. I love hearing that shit. I love hearing how, when, at least from what you're giving me here, it sounds like she's a good mom and was willing to do the work to make sure that her kids grew up right. So you saw an example to compare to the bad example of the parents, which is why when you see a case like this, it's disgusting when you know what a good parent is supposed to be. And the other comment was also from Megatini, who said, "P.S. Nice singing. So honored it was a real person. AI couldn't have done it better." See, now I have to question everything you said in the last comment, the validity of it, that you would say nice singing to the horror show that was my singing in the last video. But you're right, AI couldn't have done it better, because singing is supposed to be an artistic way to communicate human to human, therefore a non-human AI, just like humans can't ever do bird songs or chirp like birds the way birds can to each other, because it's the way they communicate. And AI couldn't have done it better because it's the way humans communicate with each other, by singing songs with the tales of our love and heartache. But thanks for the comments, Megatini. Megatini, 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 Megatini. And now on to the main meat of the matter, which is replying to the old comments. If the, hello? Wow, this really is a cursed version. Number 13, really, it wasn't a superstition. It really is cursed. It's not working. There we go. I had to go the long way to get there. So we left off with a comment from Moonstar, who had about 3 in a row. We got the first 2 in at the end of the part 12. And now we can do the last Moonstar comment from this video, which was part 7 of the series His Master Plan Revealed. Moonstar's comment was, "You think exactly like I do, but you're much more observant of signs of a psycho. Ein thing I have to say," I think you mean one thing I have to say, "did anyone catch in the interrogation with Tammy, he said, quote, 'None of this makes sense. Why she would be there, none of it, unquote. He almost slipped and said something bad that would have involved his gunman. I think that in the 111-minute phone call, NK got so frustrated with him and she missed him, so she and her buddy, who just happened to be visiting from Sunday to Monday, went for a little ride. Why did she ping Jim at 6:16 a.m. from Frederick Tower? I don't think this peanut head could have killed his kids. I believe he helped dispose of them, but he's too stupid and scared. Maybe he did, I don't know, but I believe he had help. That red car tells a tale. Let's see, getting back to the beginning, none of this makes sense. Why would she be there? Based on things I've already said in the past, I don't think the mistress was there. She pinged at Frederick Tower from 6:16 a.m. Chris was already on his way almost to the site, Survey 319, where he disposed of the bodies, 45 minutes away from his home. So why would that matter that the mistress pinged at 6:16 a.m. in Frederick, 45 minutes away from where Chris was with his wife and kids, getting ready to dispose of the bodies? And also, when he says, why would she be there? None of this makes sense. To me, that sounds like I can see why you would, like, if you're putting yourself in the situation of a mistress who's trying to get the married man, to get away from his wife. If you're that mistress, then you would be all over it. But for everything I've gathered, the mistress was just having fun while it lasted, and she was actually in the process of getting bored of Chris and then finding out that, and she was just playing along while it was still fun, and then slowly getting bored and tired and ready to move on. And then the stuff with the day after they went missing, where she saw on the news that, in her words, she found out that Shanann was pregnant for the first time, which is about as unbelievable as anything in this case. And that was the reason she decided to break it up with him. I think that was just the excuse she was looking for. She was getting ready to break up with him anyway. But anyway, back to why would she be there? The she that I think it was Bella. Because remember, 2 a.m., Shanann's in bed, it's go time. So then he got up and began executing his plan, and he was in a hurry. So his first thing that he did, as he admitted to in letters from Christopher, was, with Shanann still in bed, newly passed out from her long trip home late, he went and smothered the girls, or at least attempted to, because they were both still alive. Because after he smothered them and thought they were dead, he went and strangled Shanann. And then, in the process of finishing up strangling Shanann and or getting ready to dispose of her body, Bella walked in the room, still alive. And as Chris recounts in letters from Christopher, that's the source of all of his anger that he talks about, being angry for hours until the job was done. The bodies were hidden away, so he thought. And his coworker showed up, and then he was acting in his coworker's words like it was any normal day. The anger was over because the job was done. And the anger was from the job not being done the way he wanted it to, because his first attempt to smother Bella and Celeste had failed, and he still had work to do. And now he might get caught because they were up and around and questioning what he was doing and expecting him to be the loving family man that he never could be in real life for more than 4 years, obviously, because he proved it by what he did. So that's how I explain all of that. And wow, are we really going to end with just one comment? Because I'm running out of time here. I guess this really was a cursed episode. Number 13, it wasn't just a superstition. It wasn't just old-time misinformation from the old days that powerful people use to convince stupid people to do the things they want to do so they can stay in power. It might really be a thing. But I guess, next time is part 14, which is divisible by 7. So that'll be double lucky. That'll be the lucky episode. So I guess I'll see you in the double lucky episode. Have a good day.